All right, it is state fair time in Texas and I need to start working on my project. So I will show you and explain what I'm doing a little bit later, but here's the teaser. I'm going to bend a bunch of stringers. So I have a mold here and I have some 1mm stringers. This is light aventurine green, aventurine blue, and then I have some 2mm medium amber. That's the only size I had, so that's just what I went with. I also wanted some gentle curves on these, so I'm using a lamp bender mold, and I've got them splayed out. I know they're kind of crisscrossy, really don't care. They should still bend fine for what I need to do, and probably won't stick together because I don't think I'm going that hot. And if they do, it's still okay. I don't really care. I've been messing with these long enough that they're just going in. So I'm going to put these in at a fairly fast fuse. I don't know, 600 degrees an hour up to 1200 or so, and then I'll check it, make sure that they've slumped and draped the way I want them to, and then I will use these as components in my bigger project. Stay tuned. All right, my pieces are all slumped. Apparently I was wrong. I didn't really think that these would tack together if they were overlapping at just 1200 degrees, but they did, which is fine. It really doesn't matter because I can still use them, so I don't care, but interesting. I didn't think they would, but they did. Here, these tacked together right here at the bottom as well. But again, no big deal. I can use them. So one set of components are done. All right, this video is going to be a little wobbly. Excuse me, I'm recovering from a cold. I have my camera, it's my neck mount, so it's just hanging here so that I could use both hands. You may recall that I bought a used ring saw, and now that I own it, I'm using it a lot. I didn't think I'd use it too much, but you know, I have an opportunity to use it again, so I'm going to. So I'm just continuing to work on components for my piece. So I'm going to cut out a few components here, and just stay tuned and you'll see how it all comes together. All right, I'm not gonna lie, that was a little frustrating trying to cut things on the saw because I tried a new technique. I had heard that if you draw your lines on here and then cover them with chapstick, then your lines won't float off. And the chapstick was a gooey, messy, waxy, gross mess. My hands were slipping and it was frustrating, and I realized my cuts weren't difficult enough. I couldn't just come in, clean off the glass, redraw them, and then just cut them with a normal glass cutter. So that's what I'm going to do on these pieces. All right, I needed a gigantic circle, 18.5 inches, and I cut this gorgeous clear with fractured irid 4102-0031. I've had this full sheet for a long time, and you can see that irid and then those really cool fractures on it. The only problem is, look at that, it broke right down there at the bottom. But that's okay, based on what I'm going to build. I'm going to build right on top of that, and you'll never even see it in the finished piece. So I'm just going to pony that right up there, and then I'm going to build over it. I may put a touch of super glue on here just for my own sanity so that it stays put while I'm working, while I'm building. But here you go. This is my giant circle, and I promise I'm going to tell you what this is going to become in just a little bit. All right, so I've got the big circle all cleaned up, and I am just going to start to build. So let me show you the inspiration art that I found that I'm going to use for my piece. Here it is. So I thought this was pretty cool. Now my orientation is going to be the opposite of what you see here, but meaning it's going to be built, kind of circling around the other way. And that's only because I wasn't thinking when I cut my dichro, and I drew my pattern on the back and cut it, and then when you flip it, it's backwards. And so, oops, that was a key learning. But it doesn't matter. It's going to look awesome nonetheless. So I have basically pulled together materials and things that I've made. So a lot of this is going to come from that Peacock style cane pull that I did last year. If you're interested, there were 4 videos in the end, and the very first one I'll go ahead and link at the top up here if you want to go back and watch those. But I'm going to use a lot of that glass. I'm going to use, gosh, I've got Vitrograph from Tabitha's Glass Emporium. I might even use some from JL Vitrograph on Etsy. These links, by the way, are all in my link tree. So as I start rattling off suppliers that I use, I put them in my link tree. So if you're interested, make sure that you click the QR code or follow and type in the link to my link tree, and there you can find my suppliers. But I've got Vitrograph again from, it's tabithasglassemporium.com. From JL Glass, I might use some of theirs. I also have Vitrograph from Henry at SS Glass Arts on Etsy. I have flowers that I'm going to be using from Tabitha. I've got some that I've built myself. I've got some from wildernessglass.com from Lori Moreno. I may be using some of hers. This is like a who's who. I even have a couple of subscribers who are so generous to offer me some things that they've made out of their Vitrograph pulls and things. And so I'm probably going to be using some of those that have been donated to me. I'm going to load this thing up. It is going to be glitzy and full and giant, and then I'm going to have to think about what my fusing schedule is, because I haven't even thought about that. But I've got this rainbow irid coating, so then I'm going to fill it up with some Dichro. I want this thing to sparkle and shine and just be a showstopper. So I'm going to put this video on time lapse and fast. I'm going to build this. This may take me a couple days. So I'm going to build this over time. So just stand by. And then after I've got it built, I'll probably, kind of do a little bit of a walkthrough of what I've done. So here we go. Okay. Hours here that I've been spending, and you probably watched that in roughly 30 seconds. But let me just walk you through what I did. I mean, first I put down my Peacock, which is all Dichro here, and then started to build out my Peacock feathers. So you saw me use the stringers that I had bent, and then all of this Peacock looking glass is all what had come from my Vitrograph pull from last year. I also added later some Vitrograph that's clear. It's called Touch of Dichro from tabithasglassemporium.com. It's clear, but it does have a literally touch of Dichro in there. So those are some of those kind of swoopy pieces that you see. I think that's going to add a little bit of glitter and bling. I also had taken some pieces of just stringer and broke them off and full fused them, and then got these almost kind of barbell shapes, and I thought that those were kind of interesting to add a little visual interest kind of coming out of the plumage there. I used a ton of Vitrograph, mostly from Tabitha's Glass Emporium, and I had leaves that I had cut from my glass pull, from other glass that I had. I had some hearts that I had made using some cane, and so those hearts became some flowers there. There's a blend of transparent and opaque glass in here. There's a whole ton of stuff from Tabitha and you know, bits and pieces from her. Sorry, hopefully this, I'm gonna try to fix the focus here. And there's also lots of pieces from Lori Moreno at Wilderness Glass. You might recognize some of hers. I used some lampwork flowers, and so that's these kind of lily-looking things, and lots of lampwork leaves right there. Those were originally from Nancy Sala, who's no longer doing this, but some of the leaves I think came from Tony and Keith Lunger, who are 1111 Glass on Etsy. Nancy gave them all of her designs and permission to recreate those pieces, and so some of those flowers, or excuse me, leaves were Nancy's, and some were Tony and Keith's. Oh goodness, what else is there to talk about? I sprinkled a fair amount of Dichro dust over this whole thing, so some powder. Sorry, the focus is kind of weird and I'm a little shaky. Too much coffee this morning. So I did some Dichro dust and then some chunks of clear Dichro, just to really make this pop as much as I could to get a lot of bling. Now, some of these leaves hang over the edge of my glass, so when I put it into the kiln, I'm gonna have to brace those up. Same with the hearts here, with some 3mm fiber paper so that those don't drape over the edge too much when I fire this. Before I take this to the kiln, I've used a fair amount of glue on this, both glass tack. I actually mix about 50-50 of the blue and the pink, and then I get something that's not as runny as the pink, but not as thick as the blue. And so I used a lot of mix there to put over here to kind of keep stuff in place as I was working, and then I also used just some good old-fashioned hairspray. So I'm going to let everything dry. Then I'm going to dust this entire piece with clear powder so that I get a really nice shine on my firing here. And this may not be the only firing. I may go in after it fires and decide that there are some holes and some other pieces I want to add to it. So I'm aiming for this to be my only firing, but I'm not sure about that. So we'll see. I'll probably take this up to about 1375, maybe 1400 for about 10 minutes. And then, gosh, a crazy long anneal, because the depth and dimension that I've built on this piece is really thick in some places, but then it's just a single layer of glass here in the middle. So this firing is gonna take forever. And at 1400, the clear powder will all fire out nice, so no worries about that. So here we go. I'm not gonna show all of that process. I'm gonna dust it with powder, carefully carry it over to the kiln, brace up the pieces, and we'll fire it and see what it looks like when it comes out. Cross your fingers, everybody. So this is what I meant. It occurred some of you may not know. I have 3mm fiber paper, same thickness as glass. And so I have cut that and placed it underneath these overhang pieces so that when it fires, they don't droop down to touch the shelf, and it leaves the dimension that I was looking for on those. So I just cut those pieces with scissors and kind of cut it at a curve so it kind of matched up the line of the glass. And then now you can see what I mean by putting fiber paper under those overhang pieces. I've dusted the whole thing with powder, and now we're gonna fire. All right, let's talk a little bit about my stand. So this is a big art stand that I got, and I bought it used from somebody as part of a buyout. So I shouldn't say used, I guess it's probably new, but I don't have any idea where it came from. And it's been sitting in my studio for quite a while waiting for the right piece. The only thing about it, I mean, it needs to be cleaned up, but I don't like, it's kind of got a glossy finish to it, and I don't love that. But you're probably not gonna be able to see this on camera. Now I'm not even sure if it was this side or if it was this side. There's some scratches on it, and so it just doesn't look the best. I think they were over here. I can't even see them now myself. Maybe if I angle, yeah. See, there's just a little bit of roughness to it and whatnot. It's missing a couple of bumpers on the bottom. I've got stuff to replace that, no big deal. So I contemplated painting this any variety of colors, and I decided just to go with black again because I don't want it to distract from the art piece. But I'm going with a satin enamel, so you kind of get the sense of that. I just want a little bit more of a flat look to it than the gloss that's on here now. So I'm gonna just hit this with a coat of spray paint and let that dry. I'll replace the bumpers on the bottom, and then it'll be good to go and ready for my new piece. So I realize that's the end of the video, but here's the final piece. I guess I didn't film any other video segments, which surprises me. I'm so happy the way this turned out. I did enter this in the State Fair of Texas, and I won the blue ribbon in the professional glass category, so I couldn't be more pleased. I just love all of the colors. I love the shine. All of these elements from a variety of different favorite suppliers came together and just really sing and make such a beautiful, beautiful piece. The colors really pop. The aventurine, the dichro, it all sparkles. I am so pleased with the way this cane turned out from last year's project, and finally I get to realize the vision that I had in mind. The dichro here is fun, which never shows up in photos, as you know, the way you intend it to. But again, blue ribbon at the largest state fair in the country. I can't complain about that. So thank you all. I hope you learned something. I hope it inspires you. And make sure you subscribe to the channel for more in the future. Bye-bye.